Today I will give a brief overview of the benchmarking analysis. Benchmarking analysis is a business strategy which in a nutshell is trying to compare your performance to other organizations and try to learn from others. There are many types of benchmarking analysis. Broadly speaking, they can be broken into two formal categories. One is called the informal benchmarking, where you're talking with others and learning from the colleagues, you're networking with people from other organizations, and this also includes consulting with experts. Another most popular one, called the formal benchmarking, is typically used by companies, NGOs, and local governments. The most traditional one is called the performance benchmarking, where your organization is trying to compare your own performance data by studying similar processes and or activities of other organizations. For example, you may want to compare your financial measures such as cash flow, labor cost to a comparable organization, or you may also want to compare what is the environmental impact of your product and what is the staff turnover or the quality measures of your organization, your company, to others. Typically, the performance benchmarking is very time and cost involved, and there's an alternative. It's called the solution-based best practice benchmarking. It is deemed as the most powerful type of benchmarking, where instead of just comparing the performance data between your organization and others, this benchmarking is put as a focus on action, solution, or implementation. So it's trying to figure out ways why other organizations are doing better in certain areas and trying to do something about it. So it's action or solution based. I have some examples for both of those two formal benchmarking, but first let's look at the popularity of the benchmarking. This figure is showing you among all the business strategies, the informal benchmarking has been adopted by almost 70% of the companies. And performance benchmarking, on the other hand, and the best practice benchmarking is also growing its popularity, so it's 40 to 50% of the companies are already doing this. To do a traditional benchmarking, there are 11 steps. You need to find a team, you need to establish clear goals of what you want to achieve, and then the most relevant part for your product here is to try to know which organization or which company is your potential benchmarking partners. The objective of this analysis is trying to create a apples to apples comparisons. So you want to compare your organization to a comparable partner and then obtain those performance measures either from your own company and from the partner company, then try to do something to close the performance gap. AT&T has another similar 9-step benchmarking process, and in their analysis, the comparable partner is found through a step called the best-in-class selection. So, how to find the right benchmarking partners? certain common criteria exist for selecting the best partner, including finding the similar organization type. Suppose you are looking for City of Columbus, then you are also looking at similar local government in a certain geographic location, say the Midwest. You may also look at what is the makeup of the demographics and what is the technology of the company. And another good sources is look at the awards or recognitions for your similar companies. Say there may be some national organization or regional associations that awards the best in class performers. So look at for the recipients of these awards, may give you some idea which is the best in class players. Once you have identified one or two partner, then you're going to enter the research and data collection stage. The internet is a very cost-effective way to get information, especially you want to browse the web page of a professional association or the awards program. Another thing to keep in mind, even though you are looking for a partner for the local government, sometimes it is better to think out of the box, to not forget to think any of your private sector partner. So an NGO or a private company may not be so relevant on the whole for City of Columbus, but certain practice of this NGO or company may still give you some ideas what is the best practice. The formal benchmarking may involve site visits, which is the cost involving part. An example of this formal benchmarking is the sister cities in the International City and County Management Associations, in which one city in Bulgaria follows the advice of the Golden Colorado's mayor's advice and changed their practice to resurfacing roads on a regular schedule rather than waiting until the road had already been deteriorated. It saved a lot of money for the city. The solution-based best practices, on the other hand, is just the 5 simple steps. And the key part here we're looking for is how to search for the promising practices or best-in-class partners. In this benchmarking, you don't have the resources to do the site visit, so the information where you can get the information on the partners is through the existing reports of certain organizations, the professional or personal contacts you have, the in-house staff or volunteers. So it means some networking opportunities or some other sources. Especially in this case, the professional networks, personal contacts, and the internets are the major sources of information. For example, the Sustainability Cities Network from Arizona State University collected the sustainability plan for the 20 largest cities in the US. So when you are looking for the comparable cities for City of Columbus in terms of climate and sustainability, this may be a good source to look at. There are tons of other professional organizations out there, and I strongly advise you to go to their website and try to find what other cities are doing, which is the best player, and that will help you to identify what is a relevant partner. The example I have for best practice benchmarking is Xerox. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Xerox faced a fierce competition from the Japanese competitors, and they find their competitors are much more efficient than their own companies. So they did a nice little benchmarking analysis to find their ratio of indirect to direct staff is twice higher than the Japanese competitors. They have a way more worse, 10 times worse assembly line rejects. They have 7 times more worse defects for 100 machines. So basically they identified there is a huge performance gap. They didn't stop there. Remember, the best practicing benchmarking is a solution-based method. So they're searching for why the organizations are performing better, and in doing that, over the 10 years, they improved in 230 performance areas, and eventually they won the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award in 1989. One of the valuable lessons from Xerox's benchmarking study is they not only compare their performance to the Japanese competitors, they also look at the practices of organizations from outside their industry. For example, look at the main outdoor sporting goods retailers for their warehouse procedures. So although the sporting outfit retailer is not a direct comparison for their company, their warehouse procedures, so their performance in one particular area is still relevant for the company. This may be the case when you're looking at City of Columbus. So some NGO or private company, some of their procedures may, some of their area may be relevant for City of Columbus. I have 4 examples about how to do the benchmarking in the real world. The first one is a very popular one among the cities, which is called the energy benchmarking. New York and DC and Seattle, San Francisco, Austin are all doing this, and I know City of Columbus is considering this as well. And for example, New York City requires all private-owned properties that are large enough, over 50,000 square feet, to annually measure and report their energy and water use. So, and then each building is assigned a Energy Star score using US EPA Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So what they have then is, for all the large buildings, they create a massive database easily available to the building managers to compare their own energy and water use to the average building in the city. Not only that, they could compare their performance to a certain type that they fall within. So for example, when you're looking at, if you're an office building manager, the most inefficient office building is using 4.5 more energy than the most efficient one. So when you look at, you can compare your performance within the certain sector you fall within, and this figure is showing you the Energy Star for the entire New York City. Seattle has one similar one. As a similar one for the Energy Star. When you look at the figure for the red, the more red you see, the less energy efficient. So for example, the medical office building